Welcome back to Enlightened Beings, where we explore timeless wisdom through the lens of Jewish tradition. I'm Natan Halevi, and today we're diving into a seemingly tiny detail in the Torah that opens up a world of deep spiritual insight. The small letter Aleph in the opening word of Vayikra, the book of Leviticus. You might have heard that in the book of Vayikra, this word Vayikra, and he called, begins with an unusually small Aleph. It's written very small in the Torah, smaller than all other letters usually. It's a subtle scribal nuance, but in Torah nothing is accidental, and this small letter, it has a lot to say. Let's start with a foundational idea. The Mishkan, which is the tabernacle, the temporary spiritual home for the divine presence in the desert, but it wasn't the final destination, which was obviously the temple in Jerusalem. So when Hashem calls to Moses at this moment, the call is real, yes, but not complete. The small Aleph hints to us that this revelation is profound, yet still waiting for its fullness. True spiritual completeness, we learn, is tied to the land of Israel. So this leads us to the second part of this idea, which is Moses' humility in action. There's another perspective, more personal. Tradition tells us that Moses himself wrote the small Aleph. Why? Out of humility. Think about this. The Torah calls Moses the humblest man who ever lived. He could speak directly to Hashem, yet never did he let that inflate his ego. That small Aleph is a humble whisper. But when Moses praises Israel, Ashrecha Israel, he says, how fortunate are you, Israel, who is a nation that is saved by God. He writes that Ashrecha, of fortunate Israel, with a big Aleph. He lifts the nation up while keeping himself small. What a powerful lesson in leadership is that, right? That leaders that lift others up while staying humble. And that's a whisper of wisdom. So that's going a little mystical now. The letter Aleph is connected to the phrase from Job, Eov. He says, A'alefcha chokhmah, I will teach you wisdom. And what's one of the first steps in gaining wisdom? Humility. The ability to receive, the ability to accept, the ability to humble ourselves in front of others and hear their message. So the small Aleph, like we said, teaches us to minimize our ego. Like someone standing on top of a mountain. It's not you, the person who's standing, who's tall, it's the mountain beneath the person. And Moses knew this. He knew that his greatness came from Hashem and not himself. So this is where it gets even deeper. It's a deeper call from the divine. In this verse, Vayikra el Moshe, he called to Moses, we're not told who is calling. It's left vague. It's just saying, he called to Moses. It's intentional. This hints at Hashem's essence, which is beyond Hashem's names. Only afterwards does it say, Vaydaber Hashem alav, Hashem spoke to him. So there's a progression here. First, the essence of the divine, then a more defined revelation. The small Aleph is the gateway into the mystery of the divine, which is a whisper from beyond words. So this is leading to this idea called hearing before understanding. This is connected to the teaching of Rabbi Natan of Breslov that he says, Shema Yisrael, hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord is one. This is obviously the famous verse that is said in the Torah. Moshe taught that the real unity with Hashem starts with hearing, listening. Shema Yisrael, hear Israel. Surrender your ego. Only then can we cleave to Hashem's oneness and allow His unity to flow into our life. The small Aleph is the still, small voice that calls us to that place. So what can we learn from this into our lives practically? The true greatness lies in humility. The wisdom that begins when we stop trying to elevate ourselves and start recognizing the source of all elevation, God, Hashem, the divine one. And that the journey to Hashem often begins not with grand gestures, but with quiet listening. So may we all take the message of the small Aleph to heart, internalize it, live it, let it guide our relationship with the divine. And thank you for joining me today. If this episode resonated with you, please feel free to share it, rate it, subscribe for more weekly reflections. And up until next time, Shabbat Shalom Umevorach.